Our police operation Okae Molao is tonight on the streets of Hillbrow here in Johannesburg as we get ready to usher in the new year. Hillbrow and its surrounding areas are notorious for being chaotic at this time of year. Let's cross now for more to eNCA's Heidi Jokos, who is with law enforcement on the streets of Johannesburg. Just a few more hours to go until the clock strikes midnight, but I'm sure, Heidi, that the police have got their hands full already. What's the latest from your side?
Yes, certainly, Marcel. The police certainly have their hands full here in Gauteng. We are seeing the National Police Commissioner together with the Provincial Police Commissioner. There is a massive roadblock here on the M1 at the double-decker bridge, and already a number of arrests have been made. Before we get into speaking to the commissioners, I just want to highlight the fact that somebody has jumped off of the bridge, and the reason for this we aren't exactly sure as yet, but he had been asked for his identification. We were actually standing there when he was being searched, and he was asked for his identification. He could not prove it or provide it to the police. He was then moved to a van and subsequently jumped over the bridge. We do understand that he is moving, and we do know that he is trying to receive medical attention at this stage. But let's get into the operations and what we can expect. Thank you so much, National Police Commissioner, for joining us. Let's just speak about this specific operation and what you can expect here in Gauteng. It's New Year's Eve, New Year's Day tomorrow. People tend to go a little bit crazy.
Yeah, what we expect, well, here in Gauteng, we expect that people will be celebrating the New Year, and normally people won't sleep until the midnight. And in Johannesburg, especially in this area, we have got quite a tight security. The Provincial Commissioner have deployed more police, integrated police with all law enforcement, your Metro Police, your Department of Home Affairs, Provincial Traffic, everybody's here to make sure that as people celebrate, they celebrate in a very peaceful environment. So we expect, of course, those that will cross the line in terms of the law, they will be dealt with harshly. We are here to make sure that people move freely and they celebrate in an orderly fashion. It's not only here, the whole country. We do have deployments, we have roadblocks integrated across the country in all 9 provinces. And we also have operations in areas where there will be some celebrations. So it's a national operation by all law enforcement.
Are you able to handle what could possibly come? We do know that Hillbrow tends to be a little bit of a difficult area, especially when it comes to New Year's Eve. Also, with the recent tavern shootings, townships are also probably considered as hotspot areas. Are you confident that you are able to deal with this and you have enough boots on the ground?
We are confident that we'll be able to handle the situation, especially with our stakeholders, the Community Police Forum. They've engaged the community beforehand, and there's a buy-in from most of the citizens here, and we expect that, well, people will be celebrating, but we'll be out there to make sure that we handle it. That's why we say we warn everybody that celebrate, but celebrate in an orderly manner. Don't be unruly. Don't try to injure other people. We'll be there to make sure that that happens.
Your boss, Police Minister eNCA, is out in the Western Cape, and he said that policing resourcing remains a very big challenge. Do you find that to be the case, not just here in Gauteng, but across the country when it comes to resources and having more boots on the ground?
You would recall that earlier this month we had a pass out of 10,000 new police that have added numbers across the country. Yes, it is not yet sufficient, but at least we have those new blood on the ground. The new boosts will definitely increase the morale and make sure that we deliver service to the community. But yes, indeed, it's not yet enough to police the size of the population that we have in South Africa.
Just lastly, Commissioner, just a message to South Africans. Crime remains a huge problem in this country. People do not feel safe. Some have opted rather not to go out because of the persistent crime in this country. But what is your message to those that are out and about and just want to have some fun?
My message to South Africans and everybody that is in this country is that when you see crime happening, report it. But don't end up only with the reporting of it. For a crime to be successfully prosecuted, we need witnesses, we need evidence. So if you see crime happening, remember, you are just not an informer or a whistleblower. You are a witness. So you have to be prepared to go to court so that we can successfully prosecute. So let's assist one another and make sure that we report crime. And when we see it happen, let's be willing to make sure that we go out there in court and give our evidence so that those that have crossed the line will be prosecuted. So I request all South Africans, make sure that celebrate, but celebrate responsibly. It is not, the fact that it's the end of the year, it's not the end of life. There is still life after this, and you don't want to end a new year with injuries or end of the new year be behind bars. We have enough space for those that want to be behind bars. Surely we'll make sure that we get there.
Okay, great. Let's bring in the Provincial Police Commissioner, and I want to ask you about a specific incident. We do know that somebody had been moved over to provide their proof of identification, and they have jumped over the bridge. Do you know the status of this individual and why he jumped?
Yes, this individual actually, he was evading an arrest, and maybe he knows why he was running, but unfortunately he got seriously injured and taken to hospital. But later on we'll establish, we have systems here to can do the fingerprint checks, we can also do the background check of that individual, so that we understand what is the reason for him to decide to jump over the bridge to evade just an arrest.
Speak to us about your operation here tonight. I know you're not going to just be here, you're going to be moving into Hillbrow and other areas. Maybe tell us about some of these hot spots. And I know you probably won't be sleeping, like we won't be sleeping, but there are areas of concern.
Yeah, no, it is true. Like I've said earlier on during the day, the first phase of our detective again, over and above the number I've announced earlier on, which were tracked, the wanted suspect. The detectives, they've arrested another 805 wanted suspects. Yes, like I've said during the day that they've started while I was still talking to you during the day. And we are happy about that. Our intelligence community also, we have deployed them in all the hotspot areas around Johannesburg and Hillbrow. And already 2 people arrested for dealing with drugs. So we are happy about that. But it is not only happening here. I'm having operations in Tshwane, covering Mamelodi, covering Hammanskraal, and covering Atteridgeville. We also have Sunnyside and Pretoria Central. We have operations in the Ekurhuleni, covering Tembisa and Ivory Park. That's the problematic areas. We have operation in Sidibeng, covering Didier and Ivory Park. And also in the West Rand. We also have operation covering 3 areas, the Mirafong, all those cities which are there. So those are the identified hotspots for us. But we have spread ourselves, we are not thin, because we are complemented. You can see that we are having JMPD in Tshwane, we are having TMPD in Ekurhuleni, EMPD. Gauteng traffic, they've also come in numbers. We have the patrollers here who are working with us. Our CPF executive, especially of Hillbrow, was engaging the communities there, discouraging them from, doing this funny thing or celebrating in an irresponsible manner. So we believe that we are ready for tonight. We'll see when the night unfolds. Surely we are not going to sleep. We'll continue until tomorrow morning.
Okay, and your message to those here in Gauteng, people must of course adhere to the rules and the regulations, but that often doesn't happen. You mentioned earlier on when I spoke to you about people who have guns. They sometimes don't use them the way they should or appropriately, and that becomes problematic. Just your message to those watching and those wanting to celebrate tonight.
Yeah, my message to the citizens of this province is that there is still tomorrow. So let us enjoy ourselves in a responsible manner. Let us ensure that everybody around us, including ourselves, we are safe. Let us protect our women and children. Let us not drive, drink and drive. And let us also ensure that those who are in possession of legal firearms, please handle your firearms in a responsible manner. Don't just discharge your firearms in a build-up area or within the crowd, because when so you are breaking the law, you may end up losing the license to possess that firearm.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. That is the Provincial Police Commissioner, Elias Mawela, and we also got a chance to speak to the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masemola. Just, more or less the same kind of message, Marcel, that they are out and about. They have enough resources, not just here in Gauteng, but across the country, as we know that when it comes to New Year's Eve, it becomes a little bit rowdy and problematic, and they are trying their very best to deal with whatever might come. We have been seeing this roadblock intensify. Perhaps we can just take you on a quick walkabout just to show you that they are out in full force. As the police commissioner did indicate that Metro is here, JMPD, Home Affairs is also here. So we do know that the operations are in full force. We also saw Faith Matsbuko, who is the NEC for Community Safety here, the MMC. All boots are on the ground to try and ensure that this is a safe festive season and no lives are lost. I'm not going to go towards the bridge, Marcel, where we do know that that particular individual is possibly still there. He had, just before this live, he had not been attended to by the ambulance, but we do know that they are, of course, trying to attend to him. I do not want to show those visuals, but we do know that where these officers are standing, he is just below this. Yes, he is currently being attended to, so without showing too much detail, we can perhaps just show you that this is where this particular individual jumped off. And perhaps, that could have been a question to pose to the police commissioner, to say, maybe a roadblock on a bridge isn't the safest and wisest idea, given that some people might try and evade facing the law.
Goodness me, some dramatic pictures coming to us there from the Joburg City Centre, or on the periphery of the Joburg City Centre. Heidi Jokos reporting to us live there. The visuals you're seeing right now is of a man. She reported to us just at the start of the crossing, news that had just happened, actually, of a man who had been asked for identification by the police, could not provide them with identification, was taken to a van, and then decided to try and flee. Unfortunately, to the other side of that bridge. He is, however, moving, as we've been told earlier, and being attended to. Heidi, of course, staying on top of that story for us. Let's